There's this undeniable magnetic pull to reality television, isn't there? Whether it's the shimmering allure of instant fame, or maybe the intoxicating promise of finding love, or even just the fantasy of landing a massive fortune.
Hmm.
We're just utterly drawn into these worlds. We watch lives unfold, dramas ignite, and sometimes, yeah, surprisingly, fortunes or maybe misfortunes get made right before our eyes.
Yeah.
But have you ever really paused to wonder about the hidden costs, behind all that captivating drama?
It's easy to just get swept up in it, yeah.
Exactly. Today we're taking a deep dive into one of the most popular and, honestly, most talked about reality TV franchises out there, TLC's 90 Day Fiancé.
Oh, yeah, that one's huge.
Huge. Since it debuted back in 2014, this show has captivated millions with its really unique premise. International couples navigating the incredibly intense K-1 visa process. They get just 90 days to marry or leave the U.S.
That ticking clock is killer.
Right. Its widespread success has led to, get this, over 20 spin-offs. It's become a true cultural phenomenon, touching on everything from global romance to, frankly, economic disparity.
It really has tapped into something.
So our mission in this deep dive is basically to peel back the layers of what you see on screen. We're going to take a comprehensive look at the financial realities faced by its cast members, and we'll draw some crucial comparisons to how they're compensated versus other reality TV giants.
Mm-hmm. That comparison is key.
But maybe more importantly, we'll be unpacking the profound ethical questions that just consistently arise from these shows. We'll examine whether entertainment sometimes comes at the expense of its participants' well-being, and the authenticity of their relationship. This isn't just about salaries. It's about the genuine human stories behind the spectacle and the moral implications of broadcasting them to the world.
Yeah, the human cost.
So this is your unique opportunity, our curious listener, to gain a shortcut to being truly well-informed about a cultural phenomenon you might already know, but maybe haven't seen from this angle. Prepare for some genuinely surprising facts, and maybe those satisfying moments that could fundamentally change the way you view reality TV, hopefully offering far more value than a typical news item ever could.
Definitely more nuanced.
Okay, so let's unpack this foundational question before we dive into the nitty-gritty of contracts and ethics. Why do people sign up for reality TV in the first place? Is it truly that dream of becoming a household name? Like Jessica Simpson launched that billion-dollar brand after Newlyweds?
Right, the huge success stories.
Or maybe it's the financial security of a Real Housewife with their, six-figure contracts.
Yeah.
Or is it something else entirely, something less tangible that draws them to the lens, despite the obvious intrusions on their private lives?
Yeah, it's a really fascinating question because the motivations are almost never just one thing. You mentioned Jessica Simpson, right? But for every success story like hers, there are hundreds, maybe thousands of people whose reality TV journey looks very different. Fundamentally, there's just an undeniable allure of public attention. I think a lot of people deep down harbor some desire for fame, even if it's fleeting.
Sure, that makes sense.
Then, of course, there's the very tangible hope of financial gain, and this is where the spectrum really opens up from what might seem like a modest stipend, something small, to genuinely life-changing wealth. But that depends entirely on the specific show, its reach, its format.
Right, and it's not just about money or fame, is it? We often hear about people genuinely looking for love, especially on dating shows, or maybe just seeking a truly unique life experience, something extraordinary to tell their grandkids about, even if it comes with a big dose of public scrutiny.
Exactly. For some, it feels like a calculated risk for opportunity. For others, honestly, it might be closer to an act of desperation. And what's crucial to remember, I think, is that this isn't just a modern thing. People have always been fascinated by watching others' lives unfold, whether it was through, vaudeville, early radio shows, or now reality television. The medium just seriously amplifies the stakes.
Okay, so when we narrow our focus specifically to 90 Day Fiancé, the appeal gets even more specific and, more complex. The core premise itself, international romance, under that incredibly tight deadline of the K-1 visa, just 90 days to marry or leave the U.S., that's inherently dramatic.
Oh, absolutely. Built-in drama.
It's about love against all odds, navigating massive cultural barriers, and that constant ticking clock. This urgency, combined with the often chaotic and, let's face it, unpredictable relationships, has just propelled 90 Day Fiancé to rapid popularity since 2014. Like we said, over 20 spin-offs now from the other way to Pillow Talk.
And that sheer volume of spin-offs really signals how incredibly profitable this franchise has become for TLC and its production company, Sharp Entertainment. It's basically a content-generating machine.
Right.
And for the contestants themselves, it offers this tantalizing prospect of overnight fame. You see this clearly with cast members like Big Ed, right? He gained immense social media attention during his time on the show. He even reflected on his unexpected rise to reality TV stardom, recalling, "I thought it was a waste of time. Then overnight, people would stop me on my
Wow.
visa." That instant recognition, however fleeting it might be, can be a really powerful draw for someone looking for a different kind of life, you know?
Yeah. And when you put that kind of massive network success and that allure of overnight fame against the actual financial experience of the cast members, well, it really starts to raise some questions, doesn't it?
It's not just a contrast. It feels like a fundamental power imbalance. I mean, imagine creating a multi-million-dollar asset for someone else, driven by your most vulnerable and often deeply personal moments, only to walk away with what, as we're about to see, can often amount to basically pocket change.
Hmm.
The core insight here, I think, is that for many participants, reality TV isn't really a stepping stone to wealth, but more like a temporary band-aid for existing financial struggles, which the network then leverages for immense sustained profit. It immediately raises that initial question: who truly benefits most from these emotionally charged and often deeply personal narratives?
That's a powerful way to put it. It forces us to ask, is this just content creation? Or is it, maybe at its heart, a form of economic exploitation disguised as opportunity? Let's dive into that.
Yeah,
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, and perhaps a bit surprising for many of you listening. When we think of reality TV stars, many of us picture them living lavishly, jet-setting, rolling in cash. But what does the bank statement actually look like for those appearing on 90 Day Fiancé? The reality, well, it turns out it's a little less glamorous than the mansions we might imagine.
Yeah, definitely not housewives' money, generally speaking.
Not even close. While TLC and Sharp Entertainment have never publicly revealed exactly what they pay participants, some former cast members have offered some critical insights. For instance, Nikki Cooper, who appeared as a friend of David Tobrowski back on Season 5, revealed in 2018 that cast members receive a, quote, modest sum of $1,000 to maybe $1,500 per episode.
Per episode. Okay.
Right. If they appear in a tell-all special, they earn an additional $2,500. So let's do the math. For a typical 13-episode season, plus maybe 2 tell-all episodes, a cast member could potentially net around $18,000.
$18,000 for a whole season of that.
It's exactly. For a 12-episode season with 1 tell-all, it's about $14,500.
Wow.
Nikki Cooper confirmed that figure too. That's certainly not a fortune, especially when you consider the level of public scrutiny, the emotional turmoil, and just the sheer invasion of privacy involved.
And that's just the gross amount, right? That doesn't account for taxes or any personal expenses they might rack up during filming. The number, well, I guess may be helpful to some, is just far from life-altering for most people, especially when you think about the intense public microscope these individuals are placed under.
Now, let's really dig into the implications of this payment structure, because it's not as straightforward as it seems, and it directly impacts the power dynamics within these relationships. A critical detail, and one our sources really emphasize, is that foreign cast members are generally not legally permitted to work in the United States until they receive their green cards.
Right. And this isn't just like a TLC contract quirk. It's rooted in the very structure of the K-1 visa itself.
Oh.
A K-1 is what's known as a non-immigrant visa, designed solely for fiancés to enter the U.S. and marry a U.S. citizen. It doesn't typically grant work authorization until after the marriage, and the foreign spouse has successfully applied for and received their green card, or at least a specific employment authorization document. So this legal framework, which is designed for immigration control, creates this undeniable financial dependency on the American partner, which the show then broadcasts and, you could argue, amplifies.
So just to be crystal clear,
Yeah.
for couples who are not yet married and are living in the U.S. on that K-1 visa, only the American partner receives the paycheck for filming.
That's the key takeaway. Yes.
Wow. That single fact can create immense financial and power imbalances within the relationship itself, adding another layer of complexity to their already challenging circumstances. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine that dynamic. One person is economically empowered by the show, while the other is legally barred from earning, often feeling reliant and, well, vulnerable.
Absolutely. That financial dependency can absolutely exacerbate existing issues or create entirely new ones. It can make the foreign partner feel beholden to their American counterpart, not just romantically, but economically. And this, in turn, can influence decisions made on camera or off camera, impacting the perceived authenticity of the relationship itself.
However, for the spin-offs, like 90 Day Fiancé,
Yeah.
Happily ever after, where both spouses have typically received their green cards and are legally able to work, the fees do increase. Reports suggest these can range from maybe $2,000 to $7,500 per episode for each spouse.
Okay, so a bit better, but still.
Still, yeah. But even with these higher sums, there's another crucial difference from traditional entertainment careers. 90 Day Fiancé cast members do not receive lucrative residuals deals.
And this is a massive distinction. Massive. Unlike many actors in Hollywood who get percentages of profits from reruns, syndication, streaming, you name it, these cast members are paid appearance fees. That's it. They have no rights to the show's ongoing profits or share of advertising revenue.
So wait, they get nothing for reruns, like zero.
Exactly. Zero. It's an appearance fee. End of story. Compare that to someone like Sir Alec Guinness from Star Wars, who reportedly made a fortune in residual fees decades after the movie came out. This means their earning potential from the show itself is really quite limited to the initial filming, no matter how popular or profitable their season becomes for the network.
We can see the real-world impact of this modest sum and the lack of residuals through the experience of Danielle Mullins-Jabali. She appeared on one season, and she publicly shared her financial realities. She revealed that her show payments funded significant necessities, not luxuries.
Right, not shopping sprees.
Not at all. She explicitly stated that the money allowed her to buy her home, purchase appliances, undertake home repairs, pay for an STNA class, that's a nursing aid certification, and make a down payment on a car. This clearly wasn't frivolous spending.
No, that's basic living expenses and trying to build a foundation.
And her story didn't end there. She later publicly shared her struggles, revealing she had not received a TV show check in a year, and urged fans to stop being judgmental, emphasizing that the money was not spent foolishly and was certainly not enough to retire on. This really underscores that for many, this isn't a path to wealth, but rather a temporary financial boost that's just quickly absorbed by life's essential expenses. It paints a picture of a financial lifeline that, well, quickly disappears.
Yeah.
Forces us to ask, when you consider the immense exposure of personal lives, the often humiliating situations, and the network's documented massive success and, making a fortune from these stories, how does this modest sum truly impact the lives of these individuals?
Sure.
Especially when, as you pointed out, their ability to earn is so constrained by their legal status in the U.S.
Right.
Is a financial lifeline, which just disappears into basic necessities, truly equitable compensation when compared to the multi-million-dollar value generated for the network. The dynamic feels inherently imbalanced, almost exploitative, even though the participants willingly sign on.
Precisely. And it raises those important ethical questions about the nature of informed consent, especially when a person might be in a vulnerable financial position. Are they truly consenting to the full scope of potential public humiliation and long-term consequences for what amounts to a relatively small one-time payment?
That's a heavy question.
It is. And beyond the individual, if we connect this to the broader picture, it feels profoundly uncomfortable to watch these trusting individuals, who often start from modest backgrounds and financial struggles, being kind of drained of their hard-earned money and their emotional reserves merely for our entertainment. This isn't just about financial compensation. It's about the moral implications of profiting from situations that appear to be, at their core, exploitative of human vulnerability and sometimes desperation.
So what does all this mean then? Beyond the specific dollar signs, our sources raise some serious, profound ethical questions about 90 Day Fiancé and the often problematic dynamics it portrays. The show frequently features relationships that appear, let's be honest, to many viewers, to be doomed from the start.
You can often see it coming.
Right. We see significant age differences, enormous cultural and language barriers, and often these tumultuous dynamics marked by constant fights, cheating, even emotional abuse. While there's no denying these elements make for gripping TV and captivating television, they inevitably lead to uncomfortable questions about whether the show is, in fact, exploiting its cast members for ratings.
And that's where the ethical tightrope becomes most visible, I think. Some former participants have even expressed feelings of exploitation by the show itself, stating they felt pressure to perform or maybe exaggerate certain aspects of their lives for the cameras.
Oh, okay.
So it moves beyond just documenting reality to potentially shaping it, or at least showcasing its most volatile and sometimes most damaging forms purely for entertainment.
Let's look at some illustrative and often deeply concerning examples of these problematic dynamics that have played out on screen, leaving viewers with this lasting sense of unease. Take Danielle Mullins-Jabali and Mohammed Jabali from Season 2. Danielle, who we just heard about struggling financially, endured repeated humiliation and ridicule from Mohammed, often in very public and painful ways.
That was tough to watch.
Yeah. Then there's Nicole Nafziger and Azan Tefo, where Nicole's kind of desperate quest for Azan's love yielded virtually no reciprocation. That dynamic was just starkly one-sided and painful to watch for seasons.
It felt very drawn out, that storyline.
Or consider Larissa Lima from Brazil and Colt Johnson from Las Vegas. Their relationship was characterized by constant fights that tragically resulted in Lima's arrest on 3 separate occasions for domestic battery.
Which is incredibly serious.
Incredibly. And in a truly unsettling detail, the couple even went so far as to photograph themselves with their injuries, just blurring the lines between personal trauma and public spectacle. You have to wonder about the psychological impact of documenting such volatile and potentially dangerous situations.
And this raises a crucial point about the duty of care, doesn't it? Well, these are adults who sign contracts. When you're dealing with highly emotional, volatile situations, especially involving alleged domestic disputes, what is the network's responsibility? Is simply documenting it enough, or does there become a moral imperative to intervene or at least ensure adequate support is there, given the show profits from these very scenarios?
Exactly. And who could forget Nfisa Arkemchenko and Jorge Nava from season 4? Nfisa was often portrayed as a gold digger, verbally abusing Nava, and their interactions even got physical in front of the rolling cameras.
Very physical.
What's even more concerning is the widely held belief among viewers, detailed in our sources, that Nfisa's incessant demands for money and high-cost lifestyle pushed Nava into dealing with drugs, ultimately leading to his arrest for possession of 293 pounds of high-grade marijuana.
Wow.
This illustrates a truly dark turn that a relationship on the show can take, raising serious questions about the network's responsibility when broadcasting such fraught and potentially criminal situations.
That case, in particular, really highlights the ethical tightrope of documenting extreme behaviors, maybe driven by financial pressures. It steps beyond mere relationship drama and into areas that have real-world legal consequences for participants, all while being presented as entertainment.
Right. Beyond these tumultuous relationships, a core ethical concern, highlighted by our sources, is the show's conscious inclusion of cast members who are clearly being catfished or financially exploited for entertainment. It's truly uncomfortable to watch sometimes.
Oh, the catfishing storylines are...
Yeah, think of Tyree Mollett, 33, from season 6 of Before the 90 Days. It was evident from the start to viewers that his online girlfriend of 4 years, Carmela from Barbados, was a catfish. In fact, a man named Christian.
It was so obvious.
Yet, TLC was clearly aware of this fact, but still documented Tyree's heartbreaking realization for the cameras. It makes you wonder about the show's intent. Is it about genuine love stories, or is it about capturing human vulnerability for maximum drama?
It definitely creates a sense of voyeurism, doesn't it? Almost like rubbernecking a car crash. The audience knows, the producers know, but the participant is kept in the dark. Or at least their journey of realization is sort of protracted for the sake of the narrative.
Yeah.
This isn't just uncomfortable, it raises serious questions about informed consent, especially in vulnerable populations, and the moral calculus networks seem to apply when generating content from real-life hardship.
Another unforgettable and deeply unsettling case is that of 49-year-old Caesar Mack, who debuted on Before the 90 Days, Season 4. Over 5 years, he sent a staggering $40,000 to his Ukrainian love interest, Maria Devine.
$40,000.
Wow. Despite it being apparent to everyone except Mack that she had little genuine interest in him, Mack, a nail technician who earned very little, publicly revealed his dire financial situation, stating he was eating noodles, Spam, eggs. I was barely surviving because of the money he sent.
Oh, man.
Maria never showed up to meet him in Mexico, and at the tell-all reunion, she finally admitted she wasn't attracted to Caesar and was communicating with other men. This was just a heartbreaking situation to watch unfold for a seemingly exceptionally naive and vulnerable individual.
And what's particularly striking about Caesar's story, and others like it, is the level of financial desperation at play. When a network knowingly features individuals who are desperate to come to the U.S., even at the cost of marrying someone much older or whom they don't really love, or, as in Caesar's case, willingly draining their limited resources for a dream, what are the ethical responsibilities of a network that not only documents but arguably encourages these relationships for the sake of the show? It feels profoundly uncomfortable to watch these trusting individuals being drained of their hard-earned money merely for our entertainment.
A similar pattern emerged with David Murphy from Las Vegas, who sent money to Lana from Ukraine for 7 years, traveling to Ukraine numerous times, only to be stood up. Our sources note that TLC signed Murphy as a cast member, fully aware that Lana, who eventually turned out to be a real person, was extorting money from him and had no intention of being with him.
They knew.
That's what the sources suggest. This pattern, repeated across numerous stories of catfishing and financial exploitation over the show's 9 years, truly underscores the ethical tightrope the franchise walks.
This specific storyline, and the others we've discussed, really push the boundaries of reality TV. It highlights how vulnerability can be leveraged for entertainment. It exposes the potential for psychological and financial exploitation, particularly when an individual's financial situation or desire for a better life intersects with the pursuit of captivating content. It makes us consider how easily lines can be blurred between a genuine relationship and a performance for the camera, leaving the audience to grapple with uncomfortable ethical questions about what they're truly consuming. It really shifts the narrative from love story to maybe transactional content.
Transactional content, that's a powerful phrase. Now, let's put this into perspective. We've seen the numbers for 90 Day Fiancé, which are, shall we say, rather modest?
Understatement, maybe?
Right. But what does modest really mean in the context of the larger reality TV landscape? How do these earnings stack up against the glittering world of other reality TV franchises? Is the drama universal, or is the paycheck dramatically different across the reality TV landscape? You might be surprised by the sheer spectrum of compensation and what it tells us about how networks value their talent.
Yeah, the contrast is stark.
On the high roller end of reality TV, we have the stars of the Real Housewives. They are reported to rake in between $500,000 and an astounding $2.8 million per season.
Millions per season.
Neen Leakes, for example, allegedly negotiated a $2.5 million contract for Real Housewives of Atlanta Season 10. Kandi Burruss is reportedly the highest paid at nearly $2 million a season. Even newcomers typically start at around $60,000, a figure confirmed by Gina Kirschenheiter's divorce filings.
So even the entry level is way above 90 Day.
Way above. Interestingly, Bethany Frankel, now a household name, made just over $7,000 for her very first season, showing how salaries can evolve dramatically within a successful franchise. And Carrie Duber from Real Housewives of Dallas initially made less than a Birkin bag, but reached around $200,000 by season 3.
What this shows is that once a franchise is established and profitable, and a cast member proves to be a consistent draw, their negotiating power just skyrockets. They become a key asset to the brand. This is a very different model than the initial lower stakes, more documentary-style reality shows like 90 Day seems to be.
And it gets even bigger. Keeping Up with the Kardashians secured a mind-boggling $150 million contract in 2017 for multiple seasons.
Just incredible numbers.
And the cast of Jersey Shore, like Nicole Snooki Polisi, reportedly made $2.5 million in the final season. These are clearly a different lead from 90 Day Fiancé, where a whole season's earnings barely match a Real Housewife starting paycheck.
Not even close.
Now, let's look at some of the mid-tier earners, which still often dwarf the 90 Day Fiancé stipends. For shows like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette, the leads, the ones at the center of the romance like Colton Underwood, Jason Tartick, and Blake Horstmann for season 23, were offered $100,000.
Okay, $100,000 for the lead.
Dean Unglert was offered $75,000 the year prior. Caitlin Bristow, a Bachelorette, even claimed she had to negotiate hard to be paid $40,000 to match what Chris Soules, a male Bachelor lead, received. She faced pushback from producers asking if it was about love for you.
Wow. That Bristow anecdote is incredibly telling, isn't it? It exposes a potential gender pay gap within the franchise, but also that underlying expectation that the female lead's motivation should be purely emotional, not financial. It highlights how even in these mid-tier shows, the perception of authenticity can influence how compensation is approached.
Yeah, absolutely. For spin-offs like Bachelor in Paradise, Dean Unglert was offered $400 a day, which he successfully negotiated up to $600 a day. He also made $400 a day for the Bachelor Winter Games.
Okay, so daily rates for that one.
Over on Big Brother, a show about living in a house under constant surveillance, contestants like Elena Davies were paid $1,000 a week, which would amount to about $13,000 for a typical 13-week season.
So similar ballpark to 90 Day, actually.
Kinda, yeah. And the compensation varies even within these tiers, sometimes with legal implications. Love is Blind, according to a lawsuit by Season 2 contestant Jeremy Hartwell, paid contestants $1,000 per week, up to $8,000 for the length of filming. This lawsuit even alleged that contestants were paid less than half of the applicable minimum wage rate, claiming they worked up to 20 hours a week, effectively earning as little as $7.14 per hour.
Oof. That's a stark reminder that even seemingly decent pay per week can mask underlying issues about hours worked and, well, labor laws. It forces us to question the definition of work in reality television. Are they actors? Are they employees? Or are they something else entirely? Maybe an unclassified category that allows production companies to bypass standard labor laws. This blurring of lines has profound implications for participant welfare.
That's a really good point. For competition shows, the pay can be a bit more structured, often with incentives for performance. On MTV's The Challenge, rookies make a $1,000 stipend a week. Returning players make between $3,000 and $5,000, and the elite players can apparently make around $80,000 just for showing up on day one.
80 grand just to arrive. Okay.
Survivor also has an incremental pay scale. The first person eliminated gets $3,500, jury members receive $40,000, the final two get $100,000, and the winner takes home $1 million. That was doubled to $2 million for winners at war, where players were also guaranteed $25,000 plus $10,000 just for the reunion. Corinne Kaplan detailed this further, explaining the amounts go up incrementally until the jury, and then backward from the winner's million down to $45K for the final jury member.
So clear incentives to stick around and win.
Definitely. Moving to team-based competition, the Amazing Race winners split $1 million, second place splits $100,000, and third splits $75,000. For celebrity dance competitions, Dancing with the Stars contestants make $125,000 just for rehearsals and the first 2 weeks.
Wow, just for showing up and rehearsing.
Right. And potential earnings go up to $295,000 if they make it past week 3. Caitlin Bristow, again a winner, confirmed bonuses for each week. Courtney Robertson was reportedly offered $150,000 to sign on, plus around $30,000 for each additional week she stayed.
That's serious money.
In the world of reality docuseries, Teen Mom star Adam Lind shared that Chelsea Houska earned $250,000 for season 6, and he had a similar salary, with their daughter Aubrey making $50,000 for appearing.
$250,000 for Teen Mom. Okay.
On Vanderpump Rules, main cast members reportedly earned around $25,000 an episode in 2017-2018, with Lisa Vanderpump taking home closer to $50,000. Kristen Dout initially made $5,000, and Brittany Cartwright recalled being broke and not getting paid until the very end of her first season. Jax Taylor recalled her spending $800, $900 on airfare just to visit him. He himself felt rich, getting $5,000 initially. Shows how relative these early paychecks felt.
Right, starting low and building up if the show hits.
And even the young dancers on Dance Moms earned $1,000 per episode for seasons 1 to 4, increasing to $2,000 per episode for season 5. Allie Miller earned $1,500 per episode. Even way back on Laguna Beach, Kristen Cavallari recalled making $2,500 for the first season, with Stephen Colletti remembering $2,000 before they renegotiated for season 2.
Notice a pattern here. The shows with massive pre-existing fan bases, high-stakes competition, or a clear talent component, whether it's dancing, singing, entrepreneurial success, they often treat their participants as genuine talent, offering substantial compensation. For docuseries like 90 Day Fiancé, where vulnerability and real-life relationship drama are the primary product, the pay seems to reflect a different and significantly lower evaluation of the participants' contributions. It's almost as if their realness is the commodity, not their performance.
That's a powerful distinction, but here's a crucial point often overlooked. Many reality stars incur significant personal expenses just to appear on these shows, meaning that gross income isn't always net income. It's not all profit, especially for those lower-tier earners.
Right, the cost of participation.
Elena Davies, from Big Brother 19, shared that she spent around $5,000 on makeup, Botox, clothes, and hair products before even competing.
$5,000 just to get ready to go in the house.
And Jillian Harris, who appeared on The Bachelor and became a bachelorette, remortgaged her house and spent a staggering $8,000 on clothing because the goodie bags provided often didn't fit and she wanted to look her best.
Wow. Remortgaged her house. That's commitment or maybe pressure. What's fascinating here is just the sheer spectrum of compensation across reality television. From multi-million-dollar contracts for established franchises like the Real Housewives to barely sustainable stipends for shows like 90 Day Fiancé, it profoundly challenges the popular perception that all reality TV leads to instant riches.
Totally.
It underscores how different shows leverage their cast in fundamentally different ways. Some treat their participants as genuine talent to be compensated handsomely, while others view them almost as essential yet cheaply compensated cogs in a profitable content machine. It often dictates who bears the significant financial and personal burden of participating.
So the season wraps, the cameras pack up, and the reality show ends. But for many of these individuals, that's far from the end of the story, right? What truly happens to these individuals once their time in the intense spotlight of reality TV is over, especially for those who clearly didn't hit that multi-million-dollar jackpot? It's a complex transition, isn't it?
It absolutely is. For most participants, reality TV clearly isn't designed to be a long-term career. It's more of a temporary experience or, at best, a springboard. The reality is often far less glamorous than the fantasy. Many simply go back to their everyday professions or whatever they were doing before the camera showed up.
That's certainly true for some. For instance, Melanie Bowers returned to nursing after her appearance on 90 Day Fiancé. And her husband, DeVar Walters, who was on season 3, trained as a welder and an underwater construction expert. For them, it was an experience but not a permanent career shift, and they adapted, maybe leveraged their recognition for new career paths.
Yes, and that speaks to the diverse paths. While some return to previous careers, others successfully manage to monetize their newfound notoriety, particularly by leveraging social media fame. They partner with brands for promotion on platforms like Instagram, turning their public profile into a source of income. Ashley Martin-Smith is an example of someone who has done this effectively, building a post-show brand.
Ah, the influencer route.
Exactly. And then there are those who turn their public profile into income through paid appearances or by selling personalized video messages on platforms like Cameo.
Right, like Colt Johnson, a recurring figure from 90 Day Fiancé. He reportedly charged $50 for Cameo videos and also made club appearances after his time on this show. So, while it's not the multi-million-dollar deals, some do manage to extend their earnings beyond the initial filming, essentially becoming micro-influencers or public personalities.
But this raises an important question, doesn't it? What are the long-term implications for participants, especially when their subsequent income and opportunities often rely on maintaining a public persona that might have been distorted, exaggerated, or even outright dramatized for entertainment?
Yeah.
What are the psychological costs of living a life where your past public image, however manufactured it was, dictates your future earning potential and public perception?
That's a critical point. The pressure to stay relevant, to keep up the character you were on TV, or maybe to continue to expose your life for content, that can be immense. It can impact mental health, relationships, and just the ability to reintegrate into a normal life.
Yeah.
Many reality stars speak about struggling with identity after their season ends because the public knows them as this curated version of themselves.
Absolutely. And there's often a noticeable lack of long-term support, including psychological support from networks for these individuals, even after they've bared their souls and vulnerabilities for millions of viewers. The relationship often just ends when the cameras stop rolling, leaving participants to navigate the aftermath of public scrutiny, fame, and potential infamy largely on their own. This makes the whole ethical conversation even more pressing.
Okay, let's take a deep dive into a specific, recent, and highly debated storyline that perfectly illustrates many of the financial and ethical dilemmas we've been discussing, and those blurred lines between reality and performance. The controversial throuple featuring Annie, Amani, and Matt. This storyline truly pushed the boundaries of what viewers expected from the franchise, leaving many questioning the show's authenticity and ethics.
Oh yeah, that one caused quite a stir.
Didn't it? The core of the storyline revolved around the married couple, Amani and Matt, exploring a throuple with Annie, who is identified as a sex worker from Tijuana. From the outset, many viewers found the entire situation 100% sus, as they say.
Sus is the word.
And widely believed it was absolutely fake, designed purely for 15 minutes of fame and ratings. This suspicion was really amplified by the fact that Amani and Matt had prior appearances on other reality shows, notably Netflix's How to Get Rich. That led viewers to believe they were maybe experienced in crafting narratives for television.
And that prior experience is key, isn't it? It immediately casts this shadow of intentional performance over the narrative, rather than just an organic unfolding of a relationship. It moves from documenting a situation to, perhaps, staging one.
A central question among viewers quickly became, was any promised payment to film with Amani and Matt? The legal intricacies of 90 Day Fiancé are relevant here again. As we discussed, TLC legally cannot pay foreign cast members without work visas unless the filming occurs in their home country.
Right, so Annie would only be paid for scenes in Mexico.
Correct. However, Reddit discussions from viewers following the story indicate that Amani and Matt likely promised to cover Annie's expenses, including rent, for her participation, especially given her job as a stripper, where time off meant lost income. Annie herself explicitly stated on camera she had to go to work tonight, meaning to the strip club, which apparently surprised Amani and Matt, highlighting her financial realities.
Okay, so this immediately signals a transactional dynamic beyond what a typical relationship on the show would imply. It raises questions about the definition of relationship in this context. Was it a genuine attempt at a throuple, or was Annie being compensated for her presence, transforming it into more of a pay-for-play scenario?
The payment controversy escalated when Amani's attempts to transfer Annie's rent money allegedly didn't go through.
Oh.
Amani seemingly dismissed this with an, "oh, well, I'll take care of it later." This led to accusations from viewers that Amani cut her off because she wasn't picked as Matt's second wife. That moment vividly illustrated the power dynamics and the potential for exploitation as Annie's financial vulnerability became really clear.
Yeah, that's an uncomfortable spotlight on financial precarity. When someone's participation in a show and maybe their ability to pay basic necessities is tied to the whims of other cast members or the dramatic arc of a storyline, it creates a very real ethical problem. It showcases how easily individuals can be put in compromising positions when their financial needs intersect with reality TV's demand for drama.
Then further controversy erupted when Annie later posted on Instagram about money trouble and debt, linking it to an emergency surgery. This emergency surgery was widely speculated by viewers and later confirmed by comments to be a nose job or rhinoplasty.
A nose job as emergency surgery.
Right.
Yeah.
This sparked a significant public debate. Can't afford rent, but can't afford a nose job. And comments like, "priorities, your kid should come first, lady." It brought into sharp focus the choices individuals make under financial strain and public scrutiny. Interestingly, Amani also reportedly had a nose job and openly expressed regret about it, adding another layer to the narrative about body image and perceived perfection in reality TV.
It just adds complexity upon complexity.
Let's dive deeper into the in-depth analysis of these transactional relationships and the uncomfortable power dynamics at play. Viewers debated whether Annie was playing them for money and was a gold digger, or if the arrangement was purely transactional, a pay-for-play service where she provided companionship for money. One comment summed it up as, "She didn't pretend to be in love. She provided a service that they paid for. This was pay-for-play. It was transactional."
And this cuts to the core of the ethical dilemma, right? If it truly was transactional, then presenting it as some genuine romantic exploration blurs the lines for the audience and potentially for the participants, too. It feels like a disingenuous narrative crafted for shock value and ratings.
And what about Amani and Matt in this dynamic? Many perceived Amani as 100% the predator in the dynamic, describing her as genuinely crazy, toxic, and abusive.
Those are common viewer sentiments, yeah.
They highlighted her hyper-focused degradation of Annie, particularly using sex work insults, despite the ironic fact that they met Annie in a strip club setting. Matt, by contrast, was often seen as just along for the ride, a wimp who was 100% scared to upset her and be on the receiving end. Viewers felt he was scared of losing all that, given that Amani reportedly paid for everything and he was the stay-at-home husband.
Yeah, the power dynamic seemed really skewed. This specific storyline, which many viewers felt was, quote, engineered to make me stop watching, truly pushes the boundaries of reality TV. It highlights the potential for psychological and financial exploitation, particularly when an individual's financial situation or desire for a better life intersects with the pursuit of captivating content. It makes us consider how easily lines can be blurred between a genuine relationship and a performance for the camera, leaving the audience to grapple with uncomfortable ethical questions about what they're truly consuming. It's a stark illustration of how vulnerability can be leveraged for entertainment.
Well, you've certainly unpacked a lot with us today. We've taken a deep dive into the fascinating and often really uncomfortable world of reality TV compensation and ethics, especially through the captivating yet controversial lens of 90 Day Fiancé.
It's a complex world, for sure.
Definitely. To quickly recap our core insights from this deep dive, we've seen how the surprisingly modest paychecks for 90 Day Fiancé stars contrast sharply with the millions earned by others in reality TV. This isn't just about small checks, though. It's about the profound power imbalances created by payment structures, particularly for foreign partners on K-1 visas.
That visa issue is critical.
It really is. We've explored the significant ethical concerns around exploitation, especially for vulnerable individuals caught in catfishing scenarios or tumultuous, seemingly doomed relationships. We've seen how the show profits immensely from these often uncomfortable dynamics. We also touched upon the varied paths cast members take once the cameras stop rolling, and how the complex dynamics of compensation, public perception, and maybe a constructed persona ultimately shape their lives long after their season airs.
The ripple effects last a long time.
They really do. So the next time you're settling in for your favorite reality TV show, maybe just pause for a moment. Beyond the immediate drama and entertainment you're consuming, what unseen costs might be involved in the stories you're watching? How much is too much to ask of people? Their dignity, their finances, their emotional well-being, just for our viewing pleasure. Consider the reality you're being shown, and whether the pursuit of entertainment might sometimes come at a very real human price.